get started. All right, and welcome everyone to this call. This is Filecoin Core Devs number 43, meeting number 2. And today is Thursday, the 19th of May, 2022. So we do have a smaller agenda today. Just going to go through implementation team updates and then share sort of the latest planning around the V16 network upgrade and the FVM. And if either of you want to bring up any additional topics to chat just sort of openly about or raise questions for some of the other implementers, you can do that as well. So I think in terms of updates for both the Forest and the Lotus team this week, they both have been working really closely together. Some of these updates from the Forest team are a little bit old just based on their latest community updates. But really what both teams have been really focused on is testing for the ref built-in actors and also planning for the FVM, obviously. So there are hundreds of tests that have been queued to be performed or have already been performed. A lot of work is ongoing, but today was the official FVM code freeze, as well as nearing last call for the FVM FIPS as well, which we'll touch on in a second. So we're making a lot of progress, but teams have really been focused solely on this and haven't been doing much additional work within the actual implementations themselves. Any questions that you'd like me to shepherd to the Forest or Lotus teams for you? All right, Stephen, do you want to give us an update on what you and your team have been working on?
Okay, yeah. For VSTeam, we're almost focusing on the VS market part. Yeah, for the real data storage and retrieving. So yeah, in the last 2 weeks, we have done the VS market high availability deployment. Yeah, the coding is completed, and we're working on the testing right now. And also we have the VS market to support object storage. Yeah, so that yeah, for our for the storage providers, they using the VS market, they can use different kind of storage type. Generally the Filecoin system, the file system or objects storage and some others will support later on. And we are also on the progress to use VS clusters to replace the VS Center we used before, and now VS cluster supports separate winning poster and window post, so that we could have the post outsourcing. And we'll have some ongoing paths, especially is on the FVM the next version, 16, and running some testing, and we're still working on the Go FVM SDK integration with REF FVM tester, for unit testing, and which is also a very important part for us to continue develop the Go FVM SDK. Some other things about the documentation updated, which is ongoing. That's all. Any questions?
None from me.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for your overview. It's also really helpful for making sure that we have really complete meeting notes for all of the Core Devs calls. So this is great. On the foundation side, we have no security updates at the moment. Parth is continuing to work with Jennifer and Molly McInlay to make sure all security needs and audits are covered, and also to run the Filecoin bug bounty program. So if you have any questions about that, I can put you in touch. And on the governance side, we have a lot going on, but slowly. So obviously 2 accepted FIPS, FIP 27 and 29, as well as the 3 FVM FIPS, which are currently in last call through next Monday. Fortunately, and as we've kind of hoped, these FIPS have been really quiet. I think it's because we've been discussing them for quite a while. They have been, the drafts for the most part have been available for several months now. And so we really haven't had much community kind of buy-in or questions about this. Additionally, the Crypto Econ Lab did go and review some of the new gas parameters that were introduced in FIP32 and noted that they would sort of monitor changes to the batch balancer also to make sure they remain sustainable, but that there were no concerns that they had at face value about this FIP moving forward. So nothing was introduced, which would change that last call period. And again, this is one of sort of those final hurdles to making sure that we're ready to go for the V16 network upgrade. Other than this, Alex decided to merge one of your drafts. It was, mostly complete in terms of like initial review. Lots of work still to do, but it made sense. And on top of my list is putting together some documentation on what we ought to do with new proposed standards. So potentially the Ask V2 protocol, but also the indexer advertisement protocol. We know that these need some kind of like FRC structure. And I'm hoping to get to this very soon, but have been out due to COVID, unfortunately. So any questions?
No, thanks. It sounds great. We can update the FIP number in this slide for next time because you gave me a FIP number, I think FIP 34 for set pre-commit deposit when you merge the draft.
Yeah, I'll double check. Okay.
Yeah, I expect to have more of the like the FRC type things coming as well. So I'm looking forward to sort of the discussion about that's been prompted by the indexer advertisement protocol. I'll have some of the traditional sort of ERC types for token standards and things that'll happen within the VM that look for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to kind of look up to some of the so there's going to be two things that we're going to need to broadly decide as a group. One is obviously the governance of these new types of FIP types, right? So how do we actually approve what a standard is and how do we document it? But the other thing is deciding at what level we decide something ought to be codified as an official network standard. So we discussed a little bit this morning about sort of what it would mean to do this at the application level. And if you have questions or want to sort of see how that discussion went, it'll be reflected in the documentation that I post, which will obviously be for everyone to provide their feedback and ideas about. But you can also either check the recording there or the meeting notes once they get posted for this meeting as well. All right. So otherwise, the only other discussion we had really had to do with network version 16. Raul was able to join us this morning and had some really great feedback about some of the progress to date and some of the ongoing work that their team is really focused on right now. So do, again, take a look at the meeting notes if you want to sort of understand how they're thinking about the next couple of weeks. But again, the FVM code freeze happened just this morning in the United States. And so the Lotus team said that they're going to release Butterfly Net sometime in the next 2 weeks. So right now for the tentative timeline, we have June 2nd. This is the latest date by which Butterfly Net would become available to internal testers. But really, Jennifer said that sometime next week is probably when it would become available for the first time. So we're still looking at the same upgrade timeline, tentatively scheduled for the end of June. But we're really kind of holding back an exact date yet, since there are some sort of moving pieces that may still change that by a day or two. Any questions, concerns, or thoughts?
So yeah, about 2 weeks for the butterfly and about 2 weeks for the calibration, and at the end of June. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. For the mainnet upgrade, right? Okay, I think it's a good plan. It's fine. Yeah, due to we already code phrase right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's enough time for us to prepare for.
Good. We want to make sure too that even as, I know that your sort of dependencies on the FVM are not nearly as intensive as some of the other teams, Stephen. We want to make sure that even as they tend to drive a lot of the upgrade schedule this time, that you still have certainty about when you're going to be expected to provide release candidates or anything else. So Jennifer and I are both working together to quietly add updates consistently to the thread in the TPM repo about the latest thinking about the exact dates. Again, they do continue to change every couple of days, but if you ever feel like you really need something a little bit more certain, you can find them there or reach out to either of us and we can point you in the right direction. But I think for now, we're going to focus just on getting the release of the Butterfly Net and then nailing down the exact CalNet date and hopefully mainnet update at the next meeting.
Okay, so yeah, since okay, this is a virtual machine changes, and perhaps there yeah, I would think okay, 1 month is enough for people to upgrade their customized yeah, chain service application. For me, one thing I could think is about the besides of the VLAS itself, and we are also need to upgrade the file scan. Actually, yeah, because our file scan backend actually had done some code change in the chain service level, yeah, especially and also in the virtual machine itself, yeah, because we want to get more information from the message, the processing itself. Yeah, we need to handle that too, but I think it's okay within 1 month to do this. Yeah.
Let us know if you need support. You may need more time, obviously, for this upgrade cycle because the execution layer is changing. Jennifer proposed, and we're going to discuss this, I think, hopefully with a broader audience in 2 weeks' time, what a version 17 upgrade might look like. And it seems that people feel pretty strongly about doing a smaller upgrade sometime in July or in early August. That is a community upgrade. So just something smaller, much more lightweight. It'll give implementers an opportunity to take a look at some of the FIPS that exist and sort of see what the priority might be. And to really sort of allow community members to practice upgrading materials. So that might be an opportunity too for you.
Okay.
For FileScan, yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss more offline about some other part perhaps. Yeah, especially for the and also for example for the for this chain chain browser, for example the FileScan. I would think that we need to support more features. For example, where we have the user programmable actors, so perhaps we need to show the different actors and their method, and we need to have an API to let people to use the explorer to get some information, something like that. And so there could be some new features to develop, to be developed to support this. That would be okay. I think we can discuss offline, and we can have a proposal and say, okay, how could we support and to have this implemented.
That sounds great. So we'll coordinate as we usually do. Right. Well, otherwise, we had no other discussion topics for this week. This morning's meeting was also quite quick. There was some good discussion, though. Again, it will all be in the meeting notes and in the recordings. But is there anything else that either of you wanted to bring up publicly?
No, thanks.
All right. Well, I guess as always, thank you guys for taking the time. I know it's still morning for you both, but you can have back the rest of your hour, and we will see you again in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Caitlin.
All right, thanks, Alex. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks.
Bye.